My God, I hate drugs.
Akbayan Party List Representative Tom Villarin is accusing Labor Undersecretary Jing Paras of stealing his cell phone. Villarin says he lost his phone, an iPhone 10, while attending a House committee hearing in March. When he reviewed the security camera video, Villarin says he saw Paras discreetly take his phone while he was talking with him. Villarin says Paras stole his phone because he wanted to get evidence against Senator Risa Ontiveros, but Paras denies Villarin's allegations against him.
Last March, during a committee hearing of which in the Labor Committee, habang naghihiring po kami, nilapitan niya ako, at parang salisigang dinukot yung aking cellphone, at nakuha yan sa CCTV ng House. So yung ganong kagarapal na act, I think hindi dapat palalampasin. When I don't know him, nilapitan lang niya ako, because I was sitting beside the chair of the Labor Committee. We were discussing specific labor bills. Sinabi niya na kayo pala ni Senator Ontiveros ang magkasama. So meaning meron siyang malicious na intent.
Bakit mo naman nakawin yung cellphone ko, cellphone niya? Ano ko yung buong reputation ko buhay para nakaw lang yung cellphone. I'm a lawyer, I will answer it. Alam mo, sa theft, there must be an intent to gain. What did I gain out of it? Yeah, very malicious. In fact, this charge with they're desperate. Kasi kanina, Trillanes in the Senate threatened me. The same people, they have threatened me. I don't know why I am a threat to them. Wala naman ako, nanahimik ako na dito sa Department of Labor nagtatrabaho for the government.
Villarin says Paras communicated with then Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre during a Senate hearing, supposedly conspiring against Senator Ontiveros. The latest statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth of cabinet officials are out. Public Works Secretary Mark Villar is still the richest cabinet member, despite a slight dip in his net worth from 1.409 to 1.407 billion. Meantime, Energy Chief Alfonso Cusi posts a significant increase. His net worth grew by over $1 billion, from 162 million up to 1.355 billion pesos. Rounding out the top five are Secretaries Sonny Dominguez, Art Tugade, and Martin Andanar. Following them on the list are Health Secretary Francisco Duque, Chief Economist Ernesto Pernia, Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez, and Presidential Peace Advisor Jesus Dureza. Meantime, resigned Tourism Chief Juan De Teo is in 11th place. Her net worth grew by over 3 million pesos. After her are the Agriculture, Environment, National Security Council, and Labor Chiefs. From 16 to 20, there are the leaders of the Justice Department, Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, Defense, Information and Communications Technology, and Science and Technology departments. And finally, the poorest cabinet members, according to the available SALNs, are Education Secretary Leonor Briones and National Anti-Poverty Council Chief Lisa Masa. Masa is worth over 1.186 million pesos. Meantime, a special mention in the Presidential Communications and Operations Office. Assistant Secretary Mocha Uson is the poorest official in the agency with a net worth of negative 553,000 pesos. Her total assets are worth 3.652 million pesos and total liabilities at 4.205 million pesos. News now from the regions. Fighting between soldiers and some 30 rebels of the New People's Army erupted anew on Sunday in Barangay Banglay, Lagonglong Town, causing almost 50 families to flee their homes. Displaced residents are now receiving relief assistance and seeking shelter in Balingasag Town. 2 rebels, including a bomb maker, were killed. A soldier was also wounded in the firefight. La Union Representative Sandra Erigel calls on her colleagues at the House of Representatives to probe the actions of the Philippine National Police days before her husband's death. Erigel is the wife of slain former La Union Representative Franny Erigel, who was shot during a meeting de avance in Barangay Capas in Agoo, La Union 2 days before the barangay elections. In a privileged speech yesterday afternoon, Erigel claimed their police security detail were pulled out one after the other by the regional police office. Erigel also cited the failure of Agoo Police to provide security assistance during the assembly.
I firmly believe that if it were not for the orders of Regional Director Sapitula to pull out our police security detail and the ineptness of then Chief of Police Padilla for failing to act on the letter of Barangay Capas for security assistance, the shooting incident could have been prevented and my husband would be alive today.
The late Franny Erigel was earlier reported to have been included in the government's narco list. But Representative Sara Erigel instead blamed politics behind the murder as she believed her husband was not involved in illegal drugs. The PNP has already arrested a suspect in the murder who is a candidate for barangay chairman in Capas. Another deadly bolt of lightning killed 4 sugarcane workers in Pontevedra town in Negros Occidental. Police said the victims took shelter under a nipa hut due to heavy rains in Barangay Don Salvador Benedicto when lightning struck them. This is the 4th deadly lightning incident in the province since April. Police record shows there were 7 persons killed and 28 were injured when deadly lightning bolts struck the cities of Sipalay, Cadiz, and Bago. The government is reviving the fuel subsidy program to help jeepney drivers and operators cope with rising fuel prices. LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra says an interagency task force is finalizing the program guidelines. The subsidy is estimated to cost nearly 1 billion pesos. Officials have yet to say how the subsidy will be handed out.
Ipapatupad natin yung batas kasi may batas yung pagbibigay ng fuel voucher, no? And it's actually in the budget already, no? So we only need to implement it, no?
About 180,000 jeepney franchise holders nationwide will benefit from the program. Consumers have been complaining about the increasing prices of goods. Some are blaming the increase on the Tax for Acceleration and Inclusion Law, more commonly known as the Train Law. But the Finance Department says it is against repealing the law as called for by opposition lawmakers. To help us understand this issue, we have in the studio Finance spokesperson, Assistant Secretary Paula Alvarez. Good evening, ASEC Alvarez, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening, Cherry.
Yeah, so when the train law was first implemented, although there were oppositions, many felt the positive effects of their take-home pay. Diba? Parang dahil yung withholding tax ay lumiit, tapos malaking bracket yung wala ng tax na babayaran, maraming nakaramdam ng ginhawa in that aspect, no? But then now, the prices of goods are catching up. The prices of gasoline is also going up. No, so what is our reading on this? Is the train law still good for us?
Okay, so what we want to explain in the Finance Department is that first, train is not ultimately to blame for the increase in oil prices. So based on surveys and on the studies conducted by NEDA, BSP, and the DOF, train loss impact on actual inflation is only 0.4%. So it's only 0.4%. So this means that regardless of whether we impose the train law, the prices of fuel will still go up. Because number one, the main driver of the inflation rate for crude from oil is that the global market is actually increasing the price of oil. But I think talks in the OPEC and Russia is that I think they're going to produce more. They were going to produce more oil, so this would actually help us in the long run because it would help decrease the price of oil. Now, other factors such as the depreciation of peso is also significant. So, how does this affect the economy? So, ultimately, even if there is a certain decrease in peso, it's not entirely bad for the economy because number one, we have been importing capital goods or capital machineries in time for the build and all our manufacturing investments going on in the country. Second, the interest rates in the United States are actually increasing. So people have been moving their money from the Philippines to outside the country. So on the reverse side, if you would look at it, the OFW's remittances to the Philippines would actually give more spending power to their beneficiaries because of the change in the exchange rate. So what we're trying to explain is train is not ultimately the one to blame for the increase in oil prices. So there are other factors that are uncontrollable. But what we want to explain is that the impact of inflation is actually decreasing month to month. If you would compare from, for example, March to April, it actually decreased. So also, what we want to stress is that inflation, moderate inflation, is actually normal in a growing economy. And since our economy is actually fast growing, inflation would be moderate as well.
So tama ba, Asik Paula, are we supposed to feel the pinch muna? Kasi hindi pa natin masyadong nakukuha yung benepisyo, for example, ng build,
Yes.
no? Yung mga ganyan. And then, tama ba? Did we envision all this? And are we saying na pagdadaanan natin to, the pain first before the gain?
Okay. So, yung ina-explain natin is that this is only temporary. So, the outlook na ginawa natin is actually for the whole year. So, that's why we're saying that it's temporary kasi nga it's actually decreasing already. The impact of train to inflation is actually decreasing already.
Mataas nung Abril, no?
Yes, yes. So now it's actually going down. So what we think is that it's only temporary, and what we can do to limit the increase, the further increase of prices is that, syempre, una, yung ating DTI and DOE, they're strictly implementing the law right now. Kasi yun nga, what we were trying to explain is that yung iba naman profiteering, and yung iba dyan, kahit hindi naman train yung may kasalanan, yun yung sinisisi.
So you cut the profiteering, which you say in your studies is even higher, the effect of profiteering, than the train law.
Yes.
Ang sinasabi, hindi ba? So, ito yung pag-iikot ng DTI and the cash transfer program. Kasi
Yes,
ang tanong dyan, hindi nga siguro magtatagal, pero para dun sa mga talagang konti lang ang kinikita, hirap na hirap talaga sila ngayon. So, what can we do for them?
So, opo, yung isa po dun sa naririnig natin na reklamo, yung sa cash transfer po, yung unconditional tsaka conditional. Marami sinasabi na hindi naman natatanggap ng mga beneficiary. So, yung problema po na yan, nirecognize na po natin yan. At mabuti po ngayon na yung national ID ay nakapasa na sa both houses of Congress at pipirmahan na po ng Pangulo. So, ang isa po kasi sa mga problema natin, is lalo na yung DSWD, like sa far-flung areas, yung mga mahihirap, wala silang identification. Kasi wala naman silang license, wala naman silang passport. Paano natin i-identify kung sino yung beneficiary kung wala silang proper identification? So, sa tingin natin ngayon na meron na tayong national ID, pwede na, mas madali na nating mai-implement yung batas.
So, unti-unti, we're trying to get there. In the meantime, we really tighten our belts. Your message to the ones who are watching us and are having a hard time budgeting.
Okay. So, yung masasabi po natin is, ito naman po ay temporary lamang. At sana, tignan po nila yung mas malayong yung ating goal sa train. Bakit ba natin to ipinasa sa unang bahagi? Kasi gusto po natin mag-fund ng mga social services. Nandyan po yung libreng edukasyon, ito na nga po yung unconditional cash transfer, yung additional health benefits, yung ating classrooms and hospitals. So ginagawa po natin yan kasi pine-prepare po talaga natin yung ating bansa para sa economic growth. Pag nag-build ka kasi, pag nagpasukan na yung infrastructure mo, susunod na yung iyong investments. So kailangan para yung workforce mo maka-catch up naman, dapat yung education at health nila talagang i-investa natin.
Last quick question, when do you think will we feel that? When is your target?
So, yung ngayon po, binibilisan na po natin yung build. At para naman po dun sa mga nangangailangan ng trabaho, nag-launch na rin po tayo ng jobs. Ito po yung portal kung saan yung mga trabaho na dadalhin ng build, ito na po, dito po sila pwedeng mag-apply. So, nandiyan na po yung ating skilled workers.
So, by next year kaya mararamdaman na natin yan? Or depende pa rin dun sa ibang uncontrollable factors like oil prices in the world market?
Yung uncontrollable factors po, we're positive on that. Yung lalo na po yung oil price, lalo na po ngayon na yun nga, meron nga pong statement na they want to produce more. So, ibig pong sabihin yan, malaki ang chance na bababa ang oil prices globally. So, yan po yung nilulook forward talaga natin. Pero for the meantime, we're doing everything na to limit the increase of prices. And yung sa DOE nga po, yung kanilang partnerships with oil companies at saka yung ating subsidies, i-implement na rin po natin yan para naman po yung public utility vehicles at yung mas lower end, mas makaibsan naman po yung kanilang paghihirap.
Asik Paula, thank you very much for your time in explaining the issue. The Senate is getting a new home in a few years, and we give you a peek at what it will look like.